Welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to take a look at Ryder's live stream from December the 20th 2025 and debunk the claims that he made about his court hearing on the 18th of December. A shout out to My Brother's Keeper for the court video. Link to his channel will be in the description. Let's dive in and see what Ryder has to say.
So here's what really happened at court. What really happened was they didn't have a reason. They didn't have a real reason to, hey, what's up, Steve Cousins dropping the 10 New Zealand dollars. We love you, Diesel. Where Diesel? Where Diesel at? Is that really for me, Steve? Is that really for me? Yes, he does have presents under the tree, and they're from you. They're from you. Thank you, Steve. All right, so the prosecution did not actually have a reason. So they were trying to change my bond, increase my bond, but the rules of criminal procedure requires they have to file a reason. You have to know there has to be a hearing. The hearing has to be an argument for the reason that they put. They didn't have none of that. They just pretty much said, hey, we're going to increase his bond on this day. And surprise, you got court right now. You know, you got to be here. And first they gave us a link to attend by Zoom. And of course, I always try to do that because, you know, the death threats and the physical threats that we've had going to Meade, obviously we're not comfortable going to Meade. Just that simple. Killer can't.
So this court hearing was supposed to be conducted over Zoom because, according to Ryder, Chrissy doesn't feel safe going to Meade. Now I wonder why Chrissy doesn't feel safe. You claim death threats and physical violence. Where's the proof, Ryder? Or are these threats only real in Ryder's world? Let's hear what the judge has to say about the hearing being held over Zoom.
We don't do criminal by Zoom, and you weren't here the last time. And I think this is a case, there's a lot of interest in this case, and we need to be very transparent and open in this case. That's why we're everything to be done in open court.
So, no Zoom for you. Now, another video appeared shortly after Ryder's hearing. This video was on the Sasquatch sighting webpage, and what was supposed to be a world first video exclusive of a Sasquatch caught on camera in the heart of civilization was soon proven to be an elaborate hoax. It was Chrissy running into Meade County Courthouse. Okay, let's continue on with Ryder's live stream.
Talking here, his show the other day in his main account, and Tommy Pickles. Okay, can you unblock him, Stephanie? He needs to be in here. Do you mind? Unblock Killamilla. He needs to be here. I didn't even know that he got blocked. He blocked me from his chat. He can come in here. Let him come in here and run his mouth. Oh, I don't even know how to do it. I definitely can't do it while I'm on my phone. It's the only device I have right now. So a lot of people are misunderstanding. So the prosecutor did try to like say why in court, but that's not how it works. That's not how the process works. The prosecutor was trying to say why. And I'll talk about that just a little bit. You know, arguments are supposed to be had in court. Thank you, Tube Socks, for the $2. Did JJ come to court, you asked? He's still paying Ruff and Todd. Well, yeah, yeah, of course. He follows me everywhere. So, of course, he's going to be at that court date. He works there. Yeah, he follows me everywhere. That he knows I'm going to be. All right, so we went into court, and because the judge said we had to be there in person. Thank you for another $10. You're camping now for 10 weeks, so you may be quiet. What are you doing camping? It's so cold. Well, I guess maybe it's different where you live. It's cold here. Too cold for camping here. Even with the camper. I got a big old camper, and I guess it does have heat and stuff. Yeah, Maybe camping's okay. All right. Well, hey, man, enjoy your camping trip, brother. Thank you. Thank you for the 10 New Zealand dollars, too. So, so, yeah, the judge made us come in, which was surprising to us because they had given us a link to do it by Zoom. I'll tell you in a minute here, Ronnie. So, I want Killa to hear it all. Shit, Killa needs to watch from a sock account or something, I guess. Yeah, he's got a bunch of them, I'm sure. Or somebody on behalf. If someone on behalf of Killa can be able to tell him what's going on, he needs to know. Is there really nobody in here that has a wrench that can unblock him? I didn't block him. All right, so they made us come in, and we learned why at the end of the hearing. But the hearing was just, it actually wasn't even a legit hearing because there was not a legit motion filed. And that was what happened. That was the argument. So the argument is, hey, you got to follow black and white. You know, every person deserves their just due process. And this is not the way it's done. The process is written in black and white, and this is not it. The prosecutor can't just, in a court, can't just say, hey, let's bring this dude in right now and change his bond. Like, there are strict regulations on how that works, especially when they're on just baseless allegations. Well, there's a little bit of a base to the allegations. I'll explain that in just a minute. So that was what we said, is this is not an official proceeding. This is not the way the process is. Here's the Kentucky statute to it. And, you know, we're going to do this right. And the judge agreed. Now, the judge was a Meade County judge. I really don't understand how they do this stuff. Like, I guess that judge was the one that made the bond originally. So I guess that's that judge's. But I thought when that judge recused, that it recused all of it. I don't understand that. Anyway, I mean, that's up to my lawyer to work out. So the judge did what he was supposed to do, despite the threats that are coming from the jailer's camp, which I noticed and took note of. I know that Todd is making physical threats to the staff of the court, and that's not okay. But he's just mad because they're following process, and I guess he doesn't care that they're following process. He doesn't want people. I thought he said that he fought war or something for people's rights, but whenever people's rights, like mine, are in place, he wants to violate them. He wants them violated so badly that he's willing to actually make physical threats to them. Put a one in chat if y'all think that might be a felony or two for Todd, to make physical threats, incite violence, and say the words, there will be bloodshed. That's what he did. Now, I mean, on behalf of one of the witnesses, right? So on behalf of one of the witnesses that he wants to win in court, he made a death threat to the judge and the prosecutors, who said there will be bloodshed.
Hold on a minute, Ryder. Let me get this straight. You're claiming that Generally Specific made a death threat to a judge and a prosecutor? Do you even understand the implications of making such a statement? If this was true, GS could be facing a slew of state charges and even federal charges. He could be held in jail until his arraignment, denied bond, or given an extremely high bond with monitoring and/or house arrest, and ultimately face upwards of 10 years in prison. On the other hand, you're not off the hook either. Since this is a false accusation, you could face criminal liability in Kentucky for false reporting. Admittedly, that might only get you a maximum of 180 days in jail. But it's still 2 more charges to be added to your record. Now, let's go take a listen to what GS actually said.
I just want to say as a message to you, Miss Sydney Durham, please do your job. Please stop shirking your responsibility. Please do your due diligence. There's a bond revocation for one Christopher Ryder and one Tiffany Napier. Well, correction, just Christopher Ryder, because he's the only one who's infracted upon his bond conditions. You need to revoke his bond conditions. He should not be roaming free to make more victims. Do your job, please. All right, folks, I'm going to head in my car, head on home. Wasted a little bit of gas, wasted a little bit of time, but I got you some information.
One day, Ryder, you'll learn that for every lie you tell, there is evidence to prove the opposite. And it's called video. But for now, let's get back to his live stream.
Whew. So anyway, the prosecutor did try to argue. And I'm not here litigating. I'm just telling you what happened. Without saying, anything about anybody in the case. I mean, this is not directed to speak of anybody in the case. This is me saying, here's what's actually going on. So the prosecutor did say why he wanted to increase the bond to the judge. Like, he did say it out loud. And behind the prosecutor was Todd Bryant and Steve Nolan and Greg Brent, and one of the witnesses, okay, in the group. And they heard this. And normally I wouldn't repeat it. Like, I wouldn't make this known if, like, don't, interrupt your enemy when they're fucking up or whatever, even though they're not my enemy, but like, they see me as an enemy. So because they already heard this, I'm going to go ahead and tell you. But the prosecutor said that he was receiving flood calls from people, from parties that were saying they were involved, and calling themselves, victims or whatever. Well, I think the prosecutor was telling the truth about that, but it was never any of you, because we've never promoted any type of calling to anybody in the case whatsoever.
Now, I don't understand the relevance of where GS, Steve and Greg were sitting. It has nothing to do with the prosecutor or the direction of the hearing. Yet for some reason, Ryder thought it was important to stipulate where they were. Ryder, I do have a question for you. Are you sure the prosecutor used the term flood calling? Because I think the video from the court clearly refutes that.
The Commonwealth's made a motion to increase bond, Your Honor. Mr. Ryder has picked up 2 additional cases for misdemeanor charges. One is harassment. I can't remember exactly when. One has been indicted, or not been indicted, but one charge has been brought. That's going to be arraigned at our next pretrial on the other misdemeanor case in Hardin County.
That's been since this indictment was brought.
Yes, sir. Okay. And then there's additional one that I think warrant that needs to be served today as well. These are both for kind of harassment-related things that are people that are ancillarily related to these cases, related to the victims. I understand that the defendant has a First Amendment right to his freedom of speech, and I'm not trying to impede on that or anything of that nature, but the reality is that Mr. Ryder is picking up new charges. That is a violation of the conditions of bond in this case, and frankly is continuously online talking about the case, talking about people involved in the case, talking about victims. I don't have the things in front of me to substantiate X, Y, and Z on a certain level, but random people are approaching me, telling me that he's calling and harassing their places of work or former places of work or businesses or things of that nature. Now, that is not necessarily, those people are not necessarily victims in this case, but it just seems generally that there is a lot of talk by the defendant about this case. People are asking me to take action, and these harassment charges have been filed. So,
I didn't hear the prosecutor say flood call. What I did hear was, quote, random people are approaching me, telling me that he's calling and harassing their places of work, former workplaces, businesses, or things of that nature. Now, these people are not necessarily victims in the case, but there is a lot of talk by the defendant about this case. People are asking me to take action, and these harassment charges have been filed. Well, guess what, Ryder? What those people are doing is legal. They are simply filing complaints, essentially redressing their grievances with the government, which, believe it or not, is protected under the First Amendment. Now I'm going to skip the next section of the live stream because, as usual, Ryder goes off on a tangential rant about GS, Finkel and DirectD. We'll pick it up when he starts talking about the deputies in the courthouse. And boy, the way he describes the deputies, you think he was facing America's #1 killer. Let's see what he says. I'll be playing the court video in the background so you can see the deputies' actual mannerisms whilst Ryder's telling us what they're actually doing or not doing. You'll see.
So the deputies, the Meade County deputies, made me stand where I couldn't even see the judge with my hands down to my sides as two of them was ready to grab my wrists the whole time. Talk about intimidating to try to hear and understand what's going on. That's what they did. They literally was standing within inches away, ready to grab my wrists. And anytime I moved to, like, you know, change positions with my arms or anything, they jumped and tried to grab. And so I tried to stay real still with my hands, keep them down to the side. So I was more focused on that than what was being litigated in my case in front of me, which is pure retaliation. Like, that is pure intimidation. They need to stop doing that to people. I've heard of cases where people get tased in that courtroom because the deputies are out of control. Anyway, they were doing that to me.
So, well, we all saw that. Those tyrannical, out-of-control deputies circling Ryder like buzzards. Or was I watching a different video? Now, what I actually saw was one court security officer standing behind Thomas Clay and another standing to your left near the witness box. Both officers were just out of arm's reach, not invading your space. You were asked politely to move from the right-hand side of Clay to his left, and this is done so that it maintains a reaction space between you and the prosecutor in case you go berserk and try to attack the prosecutor. And don't say it doesn't happen, it does. And two, it allows officers free movement across the courtroom. Now, both times they did this, they were polite and professional. As for not being able to see the judge, the camera view shows that even in your current position, you could see the judge. I'll leave this video here. Thanks again to My Brother's Keeper for providing the court video. I think I've shown that, once again, Ryder lied about what actually happened in court. Now, if you want to watch the full court video, I'll put a link to that video in the description. And Ryder's 5 new charges: harassment, harassing communications, terroristic threatening in the 3rd degree, intimidation of a participant in a legal proceeding, and stalking. If you've made it this far, thanks for watching. I have one small favour to ask. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, leave a like, and let me know in the comments what you think about Ryder's court antics. Bye!
We're asking for an increase in bond. I don't necessarily have anything specific to ask for. Right now, the bond is $10,000 unsecured.